And good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to 1010 edition of Makers and Movers podcast. I'm your host, Todd. How are you doing today, folks? Now, today's topic, I know it's something that, you know, if you haven't experienced, you will, and it's good, I think, when you get it, is that pricing pushback. When you hear that's too expensive, that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna talk about how you can confidently handle price objections and help your customers understand the value behind your work. Now, with that, if it's your first time here, long time here, I didn't know who you are, where you're from, what's the weather like in your area, and what's in your cup. And make sure to go like and subscribe and share. Sharing's the most, sharing, baby. Sharing. If you're watching Team Replay in the comments, coming off that. We had storms roll through starting about, it was a little, right about 5 this morning, and there's some big boomers that let the dog outside, and yeah, he just moseying his fat self around the yard, and then the thunder and lightning came, and he's like, I'm out, and came trucking in. So we get that. And then, did I say your 5 things? What are 5 things that you are going to accomplish today? We've got a mixed match of stuff. I'm going to go all in about this week in our mentorship community because I got a vent, and I'll do it in there. You guys are going to love the story for this week. But today, uh, Corey's headed out on a field trip, so that takes away half a day. So good for her. Uh, Invoicing, DTF, press shirts, meetings, ship orders. Those are our top 5 things that we must get done today. Now, let's check in and see how everybody's doing this morning. Gabriella, good morning to you, or good afternoon, right? Good afternoon over there, right? Sharon, good morning from sunny Kansas. Linda's checking in there from cool 67 degrees in Texas on the way to 90s. 5 things: 3D print, Chipley stores, press shirts, edit photos, sort soccer uniforms. Busy, busy day. And yeah, see, hello from Italy. Barb, good morning. North Central Minnesota, 46, sunny. Water in the cup, 5 things: 3D printing, quotes, customer pickups, design layouts, and work on the website. Busy day for Barb. Hi, Linda from Barb. Keith's checking in from the sunny Space Coast in Florida. It's, Southern pecan coffee in the cup. Hmm. Finished designed for a Tacoma tailgate. Very nice. I've got the sparkling mango lemonade Celsius is what I'm rocking here this morning. Uh, And Raymond, good morning to you from Texas with a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Very, very nice. Ooh, look at that. Gabriel's got her cricket and cameo up and running. Double the duty. Way to go. Jerry, hello to you. What's up, Chuck? Good morning to you. Sunny Florida, currently 73. A little cooler today, only 81. Fall is in the air. I don't even know what we're at. 50s, 60s, 50s, I think, maybe 60s. Renee, listening in the car. 54 on the way to 66 in the Chicagoland Highland and Barb. I'm going to start driving now, so won't be responding. Well, hello, Renee. Shake your head if you're driving fine. Yes. Hey, Jerry from Barb. Hi, Barb, Linda, and Renee from Jerry. Hi, Chuck and Renee. Linda, we're in a burn ban due to lack of rain. Can't remember. It hasn't rained here probably for a long time. I know it has not. It has not rained for a long time, so much needed. But of course, they're headed out to a field trip, so watch it be a muddy mess. And I'm like, I don't think so, because I think it's so dry that it's just going to soak it up. So we will see. Same here, Linda. Under a burning ban. We do have rain coming in Sunday, unless the change of forecast. Computer going crazy. I think I got it fixed. Woohoo! Danielle, good morning. Better late than never. Yes, better late than never as it is. All right. So what do you say as we get into this? We are going to we'll get into it, right? We'll get right into the information. Remember, if you have questions, ask those along the way. Busy day. Busy day. So, oh, Corey just like a ninja popped up and scared out of me. Trying to get me to stare at her butt. That's what she's trying to do. Just saying. Right. If you have ever quoted a job and you've heard, well, that's more than I expected. You know how fast that excitement can turn into second guessing yourself. And for a lot of home-based decorators, it's easy to feel like you have to match the big box prices, even when you don't have their buying power. And what happens? That leads to discounting your work. That leads to overworking yourself and really thin margins that really just drain your motivation. So price pushback, is not the enemy. It's just information. It tells you that the customers don't yet understand the value, timeline, or risk you are removing for them, right? When you respond with clarity instead of defensiveness, you position yourself as the pro. You protect your margins, and you often win the order at your original price. And so today, we're going to walk through 5 practical strategies that turn your too expensive into, oh, well, that makes sense. You're going to learn how to anchor your pricing in math, communicate the why, and guide the conversation towards value. You're going to enforce those boundaries without guilt, and you'll deliver your price with calm confidence. That's what we got. I'm super excited for this because I think it was something we have all experienced, right? Right. So the biggest thing is know your numbers before you quote. You know, guessing, that's the fastest way to wallow when someone questions your price. When you've calculated what it actually costs to run your business, the materials, the waste, the press time, the design time, the packaging, the transaction fees, your target profit per hour, you stop fearing objections because your number is defensible. You're not pulling these prices from thin air. You're pricing a process with real inputs and real goals. Now, we have a complete system that we use for that, but you can build a simple worksheet or calculator that starts with your blanks cost, your transfer cost, your labor cost, your overheads. You can include your design fees and your setup fees. You can put it all there. That stuff doesn't change the matter of the size of the order. Doesn't matter if it's one or 10,000. It's all the same. It's art charges. Maybe there's weeding, color changes. There's swapping of platens. You have to figure all this out. And at the end of the day, profit is not a dirty word. You want to be able to make profit. If not, why not? Setting those profit targets, and minimums, those keep you healthy in the busy and in the slow seasons. I know a lot of people that just establish that minimum order price, to make sure that it covers everything. Uh, you know, the biggest thing is you need to know the math, right? When you know the math, you can keep a straight you can keep a straight face, steady voice, and the customer flinches, so be it. You know, some examples of this. A rhinestone hoodie felt like it jumped from $45 to $68. After the decorator went through and actually went through all their numbers. You know, that's what it was. They thought it was going to be 45. They ran the numbers. It ended up being 68. And what did that cover? The time of everything, the materials, the press time, their labor goals. We kept the price, explained the build, and the team just kept going with the order. That's what it is. Um, I know another one that we were going through processing fees and that where they were selling shirts at $18 and they were ignoring, you know, their cost to run credit cards, their cost to have in the packaging, their cost in the mailers. After they took a look at that, they realized, yeah, we can't do this. So we had to up our prices to make sure that they could cut it. So, you know, with this, that action step is just going to be something as simple as you're just one-page pricing worksheet, okay? Now, like I said, we've got a program and we're gonna run it at the end of the month for overhead and pricing. If you don't have something like that, I encourage you to stay tuned because we'll start releasing information for it. But even something as simple as your materials and labor minutes and hourly goals and overhead per item for profit. You can put together a quick spreadsheet. So that way you are speaking with confidence on all of your pricing. All right. Number two, let's explain the why behind our price. You know, Customers don't see you pre-pressing tests. They don't see you trying to color match stuff. They don't see you doing the reprints to make sure that everything is taken care of. Alls they see is a shirt, right? And any number really sounds arbitrary to them. We got to translate that invisible work into clear customer-facing value, durability, color accuracy, fit advice, deadline reliability, post-purchase support, right? We start turning these features into benefits. You know, we're not just saying, hey, uh, we've got these DTFs on these shirts. Hey, we can say full color, full vibrant shirts that last a minimum of 50 washes, right? Hand feels so soft, your team looks new all season long, right? We're when we look at things like mock-ups, right? We say, hey, mock-up, your mock your mock-up approval is required, or you say, you'll approve the exact look before we print, so there's no day of the game surprises. I'm having trouble with words today. When you offer benefits justify the price better than just bullet point specs on it. We just need to package this message so we don't have to improvise under pressure. Just a short, hey, why we cost what we cost note in your invoice, right? A pinned FAQ on your social, even, the 1 minute script that you can say on the phone. Reputation builds trust, and trust often softens the sticker shock. There's a lot of S's in there. So, some examples of this is I know a shop that added the line to every quote. Heat applied vinyl rated for athletic apparel, won't crack under stretch, and outlast. Wait, that wasn't right. Because outlast shouldn't be there. I crossed that off and I still left it in here. Heat applied vinyl rated for athletic apparel won't crack under stretch. And what they said was teams stopped comparing them to the hobbyist on the street and started comparing them to an actual shop and accepted the higher rate for it. They explained what was going on with it. They talked about the process, and why that reflected the price. Um, Another one, they keep a swatch shirt that shows all the colors that they use, and it's done on a white shirt and it's done on a black shirt. And so they could actually, here's the shirt that we use, here's the colors that they'll look like on it. And so they could see what the color and see what it looks like on the shirt. Okay, that's just another thing that you're adding to it. So for this one, we just need to write, a value statement, right? And that just converts the features to benefits, the durability, the accuracy, the reliability. And then we can paste that into quotes, invoicings, and auto replies for it. Now, number 3, let's shift the conversation from price to value. When someone says too expensive, they're usually saying, I don't see the difference yet. Ask clarifying questions that really surface their priorities: timeline, quantity, flexibility, garment quality, fundraising goals. Once you know what matters most, you can often align your offer without lowering your worth. You can offer good, better, best options to reframe those choices. Keep a budget tier, so basic garment, simple placement. A standard tier, which is your go-to apparel with your go-to process, and then a premium tier where those are up, upgraded blanks, specialty finishes like glitter or rhinestones. And then offer custom naming for all of it. Name, number, personalization. You know, Tiering moves the discussion from your price versus my budget to which value level fits best for your needs. And it anchors your standards in as the sensible middle, right? Here's what we have for you. Use result-based language and those little micro guarantees to reduce risk perception. Mention on-time guarantees, reorder consistency, or fit guidance that will reduce those returns. Value is rarely just about the shirt. It's about assurance that the event, the game day, or the fundraiser goes smoothly with no surprises to them. So some examples of this is ran into this. A PTO balked at shirts that were $24 until they were offered tiers. Hey, $18 budget is your basic cotton, 24 standard for ring spun, 29 is premium. They chose standard for most and premium for staffed. It raised the average without discounting anything. We know a dance studio that hesitated on the rhinestone jackets. It happens quite a bit. Uh, you know, the we added in there, a fit check night where, hey, here's everything that goes into it. We're bringing you sizing. We can go through all this so that way, this is why we are offering a premium service at a premium price. We give you stuff to try on. We give you stuff to make sure that you are set, ready to go for it. So that perceived risk dropped, and they had no problem ordering because they saw the value that we were providing them for it. You know, so for this, we just need to build a one-page menu with a good, better, best packages of your top products. Pretty simple, right? And then you just use it on your next, inquiry to steer talks to the value levels, not haggling. All right. So before we move on to 4 and 5, let's check back in and see what we have last night, because I was looking at it here. Let's see. Here in Italy, any t-shirt over €6 is too expensive for a client. Really? Because what's €6? What is €6 in US dollars? We're gonna find out.
€6 is $6.94.
Really? Yeah, they're cheap. That's cheap. Hershon last night for National Printing Company selling t-shirts $5 with transfer. Oh, wait. Jerry, I told you we can do it at $5. We've done it at $5. A lot of them don't pick that one. They go there, but that's to get them in the door with it. We're in the 40s today, which is norm for us. I am not done that. TRW calculator is a great calculator to have. Chrissy, good morning to you. Laura, good morning to you. Jerry, 5 is very quality. They think the shirt is very cheap before design. Ooh, yeah, that is super. Like that's super cheap. Is it your cost or their cost on it? Not everyone will think it through. They only see dollars, especially in today's society. Yeah, it is, but that's what we do. Is we get them to see what they need to see. Tim, good morning to you. Live tinting on TikTok. Just stopping by to say hi. Thanks for stopping by, Tim. I had one last week says, but you're in your house, except for I still have expenses. Yeah, just because you're out of your house doesn't mean, you got free electricity, free all this. That stuff needs to be paid for somewhere. Okay. Yeah, I'm out of my house. Cool. Oh, one wash and they fall apart. I don't want to have anything to do with it. Mm-mm. Yeah, that allows us to keep our prices lower than most of our competitors. It doesn't though, Jerry, because we still have expenses. I don't want to be lower. I don't want to be lower than my competitors. I want to be higher. I want my profit margins to be good. I want to have the clientele that want to spend the money. I don't want to be lower. We're selling a premium service, premium price. That's what we do, and that's where we're at with it. The overhead is subjective because it just depends on it. This morning, looking at places for the same 2,000 square foot location, one place was $2,000 a month, and the other place was $6,000 a month. They're both 2,000 square foot. What's the difference between it? Location. You know, there's not $4,000 difference in it. There's not, but that's the type of thing we see for it. All right, numero 4. All right, this one's for you, Jerry. um, Set boundaries and stop negotiating your worth. Right? If your price changes the moment someone pushes back, you've taught them that your first quote is optional. Replace that reactive discounting with those proactive policies. Deposits before blanks. You know, rush fees after cutoff days. Artwork limitations. Reorder minimums. Clear rules prevent the awkward back and forth and keep the special favors from becoming your standard. Uh, what we can do is offer structured flexibility instead of discounts. Trade value for value. Remove a sleeve print to meet a budget. Extend the deadline for a lower price. Increase the quantity for a bulk break. You hold your margin by adjusting the scope, not your professionalism. Communicate your boundaries calmly and consistently. A short, confident script closes those loops really fast. It, this is the price for the spec and date we discussed. If timing or specs change, I have a couple of ways to bring the cost down. You want to see those? You know, you remain helpful without volunteering your profit. Some examples is the coach asked a shop to match online. They replied, I can simplify the artwork, move to a basic blank to meet that number, or we can keep the quality at what it is now at this quoted rate. You decide. Another example is, a company demanded a rush at a regular price, and decorators shared, her post rush fee table and offered standard timing at the original rate. They choose to pay the rush. Game day mattered to them more than the savings. So what we need to do is just write a two-line scope swap script and a three-item list of levers that you can adjust: garments, placements, timelines. And we just use those instead of discounts. So number 5, as we're coming to the end here, is delivery matters. If you apologize, and maybe you've done that, or talk about, talk past the close. Customers sense the uncertainty and push harder. Quote your price once clearly with a calm pause. You know, that package is $27 a shirt. That's going to include your names, your numbers, and it's going to meet your 10-day deadline. That's it. So you say that package, $27 per shirt, includes your name, your numbers, and meet your 10-day deadline. That quiet authority is proof. You know, we can keep that portfolio of testimonials we've talked about, those on-time delivery notes, those wash samples, past team photos. We can do all of that with proof, right? So we can stack the quality authority and the proof. Social proof reassures nervous buyers that they're choosing reliability, not just a shirt. You know, people pay more to sleep better before game day or a fundraiser, right? They don't have to worry about it. You know, practice your money lines when no one's watching. You know, record yourself naming prices until your tone is steady and brief. Reprove. How about remove apology phrases? If that's okay, I can go lower and replace them with invitational closes. Would you like me to send over an invoice? Confidence, not concessions. That's what closes profitable work. So some examples is a printer switch from, it would be about 20 to 22 per shirt if that works, to your total is 22 per shirt for 36 pieces. I can invoice you now to hold your date. That's it, right? Another decorator started every school meeting by laying out 2 wash samples and a one-page timeline. Seeing and touching quality did the heavy lifting, and the prices held firm on it. So, action step for this is just script your 10-second price line and practice it 5 times a day. End with a simple close. Want me to lock that in for you? So to recap all this, handling that's too expensive. It's a skill. It's not a battle. You win it with clarity, structure, and calm delivery, not discounts. So how do we do that? Well, know your numbers before you quote. Math gives you that strong spine. Explain the why behind your price. Translate the features into the benefits. Shift the conversation from price to value, and by using those questions and tiered options. We're going to set boundaries. It's not negotiating your worth. We're going to swap the scope, not our profit. And 5, confidence sells more than concessions. Deliver the price cleanly and close. So price pushback will never, ever, ever disappear. But it doesn't have to shake or rattle you. When your pricing is built on math, your message highlights value, your policies protect your margin, and your delivery is confident, many objections just simply fade away. You are not the cheapest, and that's the point. You're the reliable pro who makes shirts, you know, that people love, that are on time, and you do this without drama. Right? Quote like that person and watch for the right customers to start saying yes. So that's what we got for you today. Monday, what are we talking about Monday? I'm not even sure what we're talking about Monday. I'll have that one up for it. We'll be back. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Let's look at our questions and see what got us in here. Gabriella, I'm still trying to find you on Facebook. Trying to find a way. And I'm hoping to be able to help you and Jerry with the video shorts and whatnot. So, ooh, look at that. Look at that. Uh, and Gabriel, would you buy a BMW at the price of a Chevy truck? Well, I don't know about over there, Gabriella, but over here, the Chevy truck is more than the BMW. So yeah, I want to buy I want to buy the Chevy truck for, yeah, yeah, it's wild over here. I played that game. Uh, Build in $5 discount quote 30. Yep, here's quote 30, get 25. No worries, go for it. And Barb, I usually give them a couple options like budget or premium blanks. I don't deviate my pricing I need for decoration, right? It's the blank cost option that can help with lowering price. We just did this last night for somebody. They wanted options on stuff, and there was an all made, there was a district, and then there was just the port company. And so we gave them the decoration price didn't change, it was the price of the garment changed. And so they were able to choose and they sent an email which one they wanted this morning. Yeah, we just do that. Uh, Whatever works for you. I'm open to the idea. Okay, good. Yeah, you guys get it. I don't deviate once I quote them a price. I do have people who go on Jiffy and ask about their prices. You're not Jiffy, right? I mean, look at it this way. You know, go to the grocery store. There's many different grocery stores, right? I can get the same can of corn at many different grocery stores. The label may be different, but it's still corn in the can, right? What am I getting behind that? Hey, if I go into this one, I know I'm going to have a much better shopping experience. It's not going to be, it's a higher end store. It's going to be cleaner. It's going to be quieter. It's going to be brighter. It's going to be more inviting. I'm going to the other one. I don't know. I might get shot going in there some days. There's always a problem going on there. So that's what you got. Yeah, we don't need to keep up with mass producers. That's just not our niche. That's not what we're doing. Um, the key for me is to stay different. Take a look around and see what everyone is carrying, wearing, and do it different. Absolutely. I do four choices. Yeah, that's right. We talked about that. Good, better, best. So you do a bronze, a silver, a gold, and then a platinum, right? Four, because if you do three, they'll land in the middle. So if that's where you want them to land, do three. If you really want to make them a choice, do four. Because then they're like, ooh, am I going lower end or am I going on the higher end? It's almost like when you ask somebody to rate something. I want you to rate this 1 through 10, but you can't use seven. Well, now they have to really think, is it really A or B material? Or is it D and lower material? So, Peggy, listening to the bushes elbow deep and working placing orders. Has this shutdown affected anyone's business? I'm in a small military town. It hits us. Hasn't hit us yet because ours are still working and they're working through furlough. But yeah, our still orders are there. Nothing really affected that. We had some other stuff that we'll talk about later on things. But for the most part, so far, so good on things. Absolutely. Pepsi has one price at one store and another price at another store. Yep. We just want to find people that want to buy it at our price. That's what we got to do. All right. So we'll wrap this up. We will be back on Monday. Yeah, Monday, because we do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30 a.m. Because Monday. Oh, Monday, we're talking about when orders go wrong. Right? Ooh, you ever had this? In a misprint, shipping delay, wrong name on a shirt. Yep. I've had a few of those. It doesn't have to destroy your business, but you can actually strengthen it. So, we'll go over some ways that you can do that on Monday. So, we're looking forward to that. Until then, everybody have a great weekend. Oh, Alex, last week I recorded a noisy production run. When the customer starts going on about price, I try to say, "I'm so sorry, but we're going we're going to use 3,000 piece run. I gotta go." Right? I don't see any problem with that. Like, listen, I don't see any problem with that. All right. Everybody, have an amazing weekend. We'll be back next week. We got it. Everybody just cross your fingers and say everything's going to go well this weekend. We got some ideas that we're working on, some things we're trying to finish up. So some things we can go into next week do, and we'll talk about those State of the Union on Tuesday night. So everybody just cross your fingers and hope they're there. All right. Everybody have an amazing weekend. Until next time, you have an amazing weekend. I already said that. Peace, love, press on. We will see you then.